to copy it in case somebody just came in, is the link to the handout for today. So please feel free to open that up in your browser. You don't have to print it. It's good to look at it digitally because I have many resources that I've linked to the handout. So I want to make sure, great, thank you. I want to make sure that you have all the resources on the handout, and you're welcome to share these with your colleagues in the community, your friends. So good. I'm just making sure everyone has the handout. And Susie, if you don't mind, as people enter, if you don't, you can copy that parent handout to the chat again. That would be wonderful.
Sure, I will do that.
Wonderful. Okay, great. So, well, it just is noon, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cristina Sánchez-López, and I work at the Illinois Resource Center, and I have been there for about 21 years, I think, supporting teachers, students, administrators, and families, because prior to that, I was a middle school teacher, bilingual middle school teacher. And prior to that, I taught English at the University of the Americas in Puebla, Mexico. I was there. And so that's where I lived before. After university, I went to live in Mexico to learn Spanish again. I had forgotten my Spanish, so I lived in Mexico for about 6 years, and it all came back. My most important role, I believe, is as a parent, and my oh great, oh God, my husband and I have raised our daughter bilingually, and now she's trilingual, multilingual, but that she decided, later. But I have to tell you, even with knowing the research, even having, the material, books and everything, it was a very difficult task. And primarily when we moved back to the United States, it was very difficult to maintain bilingualism and multilingualism. It was not easy because English is so strong in the culture and in, and everything that we do, that it almost took over. And so we're very grateful that, my daughter is multilingual. She's 28 now. And so I share with you as, an educator who works with schools and teachers and students, but also as a parent myself, and how it's a wonderful advantage to be multilingual and multicultural, but it's not an easy task. And as parents, it's our most important role. And so I'm going to share with you some research and some resources, but also remember I'm talking to you as a parent myself. And so these same messages I'm sharing with you, I share with teachers and schools and universities and anywhere I go. So I'm sharing with you what I share with others. So that is my email address that you're seeing right there, clopez@cntrmail.org. So today we have just 45 minutes, now 40 minutes, but I want you to feel confident to email me at any time with any question. I'm happy to talk with you about, and anything academic that with your student, with your children, or if you want me to share some materials with you or you have questions, please feel free. I would be delighted to support you in any way that I can. Okay, so let's, so I translated a little bit on that to the only other language I know, so Spanish and English. But I'm very grateful to the interpreters for being able to share in other languages. Please tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast, okay? So, okay, great, let's get started. So the first slide is always Spanish, so if you want to look at the first slide, but then I'm going to project the English slide. And so I wanted to share a little bit about this idea of parent engagement. I really appreciated what Chairman Riesberg said in the morning, because he talked about how it's the most important predictor of academic success for our students, for our children. And he's absolutely right. And so I want us to think about a little bit, two different things, parent participation and parent support, right? So today you are showing parent participation, right? The slide, the column on the right. So this is when parents are active in school activities, you attend activities, and you are representatives for other families of the school. So that's when you are in the bilingual parent advisory council. That's an example. When you come to meetings at schools, when you attend, for example, this conference, that is participation. And that is very powerful. It's very important. And thank you for doing that, because it's not easy. But I want to focus right now for a minute on the left side. So I'm going to go back a little to the, so this is the Spanish one, right? Apoyo, right? And then we're going to talk about support. The side on the left here, support, is actually, when we go into parent engagement, it is what makes the most profound impact on your children. And the longer you can do what's on the left-hand column, support, the greater the outcomes and the more supported the child, the student feels. So the first one is parents are involved in children's learning. So I don't know if you're able to put in the chat or you can unmute, but let's think about what might that mean to be involved in their learning. I'm going to give you one example. Do any of you help your children stay organized? Like help them with their book bag, right? Mochila. I don't know how to say mochila in English. Book bag, you know, their backpack. Do any of you help them stay organized in their room? Yeah, in their materials. Does anybody do that? Yes. That makes a huge impact on your children's ultimate success. Wonderful. You help them and you support them to learn to stay organized. That's wonderful, Olga and all of you that are in the chat. Because a lot of children are, all our children, they're brilliant in their way. They have a lot of ability, but for some children, not being organized becomes a barrier to them being fully who they are, right? So they need that idea of being organized in their materials and being able to have a schedule and all of those things, starting when they're very young, helps them to have order in their, in their mind and in their materials and in their all the things that they do. So that's one way that you can be involved in their learning, is to teach them about that organization so they can reach their potential, right? So what's another way that anybody can think of? Parents are involved in their children's learning. Yes, so the comment about executive function, and I can understand that. My daughter has ADHD, so her whole life, organization is very difficult for her. So I support her, and she's 28 now. She's in the university. She's working on her doctorate. She still has her planner, her, her phone with a schedule, right? It's very important, for all children, and especially Olga, as you mentioned, for children who have that difficulty of organization internally, which is executive functioning. So thank you for bringing that up. Is there anything else you can think of that you do to show that you're involved in their learning? What can you think of? Bedtime reading, yes. School support by knowing what's going on at school, yes. Just that communication, right? And finding out what's happening and talking about it. Basic conversation, how was your day? Yes, and I'm going to talk about that even more. Jocelyn, what you mentioned about how was your day is a very, very important piece. Asking your children, how was your day? How did you feel today? How was the teacher today? How were the kids? Yes, that is very, very important, because as a classroom teacher, so I had 28 students in my class. I worked very hard to know how they were feeling, how they were doing, how is it going for them. That emotional, social piece is very important to their success at school. But with 28 students, I couldn't know everything, right? But you as their parent, starting, now, or very young or whenever you start, having that conversation with them about how they're feeling is very, very important, because it could be that something is going on at school. Some other student is bothering them. They're worried about something. And if they don't talk about it with you, it's very hard to concentrate on schoolwork when they're worried about this thing. So I know when my daughter was very young, I had started teaching, and my husband worked at home as an artist, graphic designer. And I would come home, my daughter was 3, and I would come home and I was so stressed and tired. I was like, I told my daughter, I don't have time right now. Talk to me later. I was so stressed and tired and feeling, the stress of the day. And my daughter was 3. And my husband told me, he said, Cristina, I love you very much. I know you love our daughter. He said, but you need to take a moment to rest, to maybe go for a walk, and then come back and talk to our daughter. What he told me was, if you respond to her like that when she's 3, when she's 13, she's not going to talk to you. She's going to know that my mom is tired, my mom is stressed, I can't talk to her. That was very hard for me to hear, but I am so grateful to my husband, because we are so close, the 3 of us, and we speak in Spanish, we speak in English, it doesn't matter the language. And I am so grateful that my husband and I are the people that my daughter talked to when she was 10, when she was 13, when she's 15, 21, 28 now. We're the people that she talks to and asks for advice. If we don't have that communication, like you said, Jocelyn, and all of you who are sharing that, then our children are going to go somewhere else and talk to someone else. But nobody has the same wisdom as you have. And, you know what I mean? Like your family, your, elders, the grandparents, you want them to be connected to you. There are other people, I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of people in our community and our teachers who have a lot of wisdom, but we want our children to come to us in any moment. And so when you talk about parents involved in their learning, this is one thing that we can do. We can start that close connection to them in any language. that language, it doesn't matter. It's that we're together and we have communication. So thank you for that. And enthusiasm in listening, right, to them, meeting with teachers, reminding our children to check their, their email, and having dialogue with teachers. Those are all wonderful ideas. Okay, great. So the second one here is that learning that happens at school is supported at home. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So when your children are maybe home right now, some of them are home, some of them are not, but asking them, what did you read today at school? Or what was the math? What math did you do today? So the children, if, for example, if they're learning in English, for example, all day, they might want to tell you in your home language, in Arabic, in Spanish, and French, in Mongolian, and Mandarin. They might want to tell you, we did this really cool thing in science. Maybe if they're, language learners, they're still learning English at school, maybe they were really excited, but they didn't have enough English to say everything that was in their mind. So it's very important that when they come home, that they can say, oh, we made this thing. Or like in high school, right? We're studying about the environment and global warming and how important what we do is to the health of the planet, for example. Maybe that was in their mind at school, but either they were stressed or nervous, or it was only in English and they didn't feel confident. They need to be able to come home to tell you, this is something really interesting that we were talking about today. And so that conversation about the topic that they're learning is really very important. Yeah, it's a very important thing. That oral language, that communication socially, but then now about academic things, that is actually a very good predictor, that oral academic language, that being able to talk about science and math and literature and history, being able to talk about that in their home language and with you, and in English, right? That is a very good predictor of children's literacy, their reading and writing, and then academic achievement. So they can do it in either language, but if they can come to you and talk about it in Arabic and French and Mandarin and Spanish, that's a very powerful thing. So I don't know, is there anything else you can think of for that second one? The learning that occurs at school is supported at home. Anything else you can think of besides talking about it? Anything else you can think of? Do any of you watch DVDs about different things, or do you watch helping with homework? Okay, I'm going to tell you something. Thank you, Eligia, about helping with homework. When my daughter was very little, I would get her some milk, or or my husband would too, because I wouldn't come home until a little bit later. But have her have a nice place, usually at the kitchen table. She would be at the kitchen, in the kitchen, and have some nice milk, and so she could hear us. We would be nearby while she was working. And so when she was little, I could sometimes answer questions about her homework. But as she got older, I don't know if you feel like this, but as she got older, so 8th grade, 9th grade, high school, I couldn't always answer her questions anymore. The kind of math she was doing, the kind of science she was doing, I didn't know about all of that. I couldn't answer, right? But I could keep her company, I could help her find the answers at the library, the computer. I could help her find things. And sometimes I would just sit and do my work nearby, near her. And she remembers that. She says, you know, I remember that you and Dad would be near me when I was doing my homework. We weren't doing it for her. I couldn't anyway. I had my own work, but also at a certain point, I didn't understand her, you know, her work. It was a little bit beyond what I would have to, you know, look it up. And plus, it's not my job to do her homework, right? She should do her homework. But sometimes she couldn't finish it, right? Because she didn't understand something. So we taught her, well, do your best. And then tomorrow, ask the teacher, you know, make an appointment to talk to your teacher or come before class, or give her a note, give your teacher a note that you had a question on the homework, because she learned to advocate for herself, to ask for herself. So she did as much as she could, and then she learned to ask the teacher, because it's not our job to do their homework. It's to help them feel supported and to advocate for themselves as well. So, but supporting them. And I love that, Eligia, that's great. Modeling, see parents as readers, writers, speakers. Thank you, Jocelyn. Yeah, when they see us reading, they also think, this is important, right? This is an important activity. Yeah, those are wonderful examples. Great. The other thing is this idea of talking about what we're doing while we're doing it. So when you travel somewhere, you know, talk about what you're seeing. When you're at the grocery store, you know, with them, talking about, you know, what you're seeing, and sometimes in the car, right? When we're in the car, they're maybe in the back and they're asking us questions, right? And that can go on about life, right? About life, but that can go on even when they're adolescents. We hope when they're adolescents, teenagers, they still talk to us. And so we want to keep that conversation. Wonderful. Okay, so the last one here is parents have a tremendously positive attitude towards school and show great respect for education. Okay, so what is one thing that all of you do? Well, a few things every single day to show your children that you value education. You do it every day. What do you think? What is it? What do you think? What's one thing you do every day that shows your children that you value education? Okay. How about, do any of you make sure your children eat, you know, good food, the best that you can get them? Do any of you do that? Like, you make sure they, yes, How many of you try to help them go to sleep at a good time, have a place that's safe for them to sleep? How many of you try to do that every day? Yeah, make sure they have enough rest. Do any of you do that? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. It's not easy, but yes, absolutely. Rest, that they feel safe. Yeah. That they have eaten something, the best that we can, you know, give them at the moment, right? Those are very powerful things, right? Because we know that children who are able to rest and have good nutrition, all of us really, but especially when you're trying to learn to get optimal, the best kind of academic achievement, is when your brain has had a chance to sleep and rest, and that you have the right nutrition. It helps with their development. And, you know, adolescence, I don't, you know, teenage years, adolescence and that developing brain. I mean, the brain is always developing, but adolescence lasts until 24 years old. 24 years old, right? They may not be with us when they're 24, maybe, but that development, that really important brain development, and those habits of making sure they sleep and have good nutrition, really have to continue all through high school and into university if they can, and throughout their lives. But you can help them develop that habit, and that then tell them why you're doing it. We're doing this so that you can have, so that they can be successful at school and academics, and keeping them safe and doing all those things. You have to tell them why you're doing it. You're doing it because you value education, and these things are necessary for them to be able to learn. It's hard, right? They don't always like it, but it's very important. So I have a question. So what do we need to do support? You know, that column on the left, what do we need in order to be able to do that? Do we need a lot of money, or what is the thing that we need? What do you think? What's your idea? What is necessary from us for our children to be able to, for us to be able to provide all the things that are there under support? What do we think? What do we need? Presence? No, it's not a lot of money. No. Time, right? Whatever little bit of time we have, right? Dedication, intention, making them feel loved. Yeah. Patience, a lot of patience. Thank you. And we don't have more time, right? We can't put any more time on our, and to listen, right? Listen to them. We don't have any more time, right? We're working, we're very little time, but the little bit of time that we have with them, all of the things that you're writing there, right? To remind ourselves of how important it is for us to do these things, to give them attention. Yeah, even though we're tired, even though we're stressed, yeah. Encourage them to with growth mindset, right? To know that they can develop and they can, yeah. This is very important too. Thank you, Scott, for bringing that up. You know, in that last point there, parents have a tremendous positive attitude towards school. Something that we need to remember is that every single one of our children, everyone, each one of them has a gift, at least one, many gifts and abilities. So maybe they're writers, they're scientists, they're artists, you know, they're engineers, they're, you know, creative people. They have they want to do, you know, research. Maybe they're singers, maybe they're, you know, abstract thinkers. Maybe they want to take care of animals, right? So all of our children, maybe they're very humorous, right? They're very funny, yeah. So all of our children have gifts and ability and talents. It's up to us to figure out what they are, to help them figure out what those gifts and talents and abilities are. And that means all of the things you said, we have to listen to them, we have to watch them, and then reflect to them and tell them, wow, you know, you're really good at science, right? You're really critical thinker. You're a very good teacher. You're very good at explaining, right? So telling our children, reflecting back to them what we see in them, in our language, right? And so that we can say it. So I just want to share that with you, because the research shows that the things on the left side, the longer we do it, the longer that we do those things that we talked about on the left side, the better the long-term outcomes, right? And so those are things we can do at home, when we're in the car, on the weekends, when we see them, all of those things. Those recognize their talents. Thank you, Mary. All of those things are what really have a huge impact on their academic achievement. Okay, so for the children who are developing English as their second or third or fourth language, I just wanted to share these. These are the stages that your students go through. When they were babies, they went through these stages in their first language, right? So first they were silent, then they coo and babble, you know, they made noises, and then their first word. And then then they were, maybe by the time they were 4 or 5, right? They could talk very fluently in our language, right? In the home language. So the children go through those stages when they start learning English too. So they might be very developed, level 6 in our language, in Gujarati, in Arabic, in French, in Spanish. They could be level 6, right? They're talking everything. But in English, they might be like level 2, where they're just starting to speak English. That's normal, that's fine. It'll take about 5 years, same thing, for them to be able to, 5 or 6 years, to be able to do their work in, to do listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English too. So from the time they start, maybe kindergarten or preschool, it'll take them about 5, 6, 7 years, just like it did in their first language, to develop the academic, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. If your children can speak a lot in their home language, in your language, and if they read with you in that home language, they catch up in English faster, about 5 years, right? So if we can read with our children in our home language, if we can speak with them about school in our home language, in Arabic, Polish, Mandarin, Spanish, all our languages, if we can do that and read with them in that language, English will be, academic English, right? Not social English, but academic English will take about 5 years, right? So by the time they're, let's say kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, maybe fourth grade, fifth grade, they're going to be, able to read and write, speak and listen academic English at the same time. They don't have any trouble working with both languages at the same time. So I wanted to share this resource with you. This is the WIDA website, is where we have a lot of tools for parents. It's where our standards, so the descriptions of these, so you can see these, right? All these levels. So we want to know what those mean. So if you go into WIDA, they'll give you, you'll be able to go there and see what those levels are of language development. And there are a lot of tools for parents in many, many languages, and videos in many, many languages. So if you wanted to go there. I was going to do this activity, but that's okay. I already made the point that, for example, when children are in level 3 of English development, at school, they may try to talk about this. Maybe they're studying this, but maybe for when they're level 3, they might sound like this. Egg, turn, tadpole, grow, frog, big, then it's big, right? So that might be what they sound like in English. But when they come home and they did this activity at school and they come home with you, they really want to say, mamá, papá, hoy aprendimos acerca de las ranas y su ciclo de vida y cómo pasan por aquí. Luego, that's what they want to say when they're at school, because they're very excited about what they were seeing. But when they're learning English, they might not have all the words yet. They're learning, right? They're learning academic English. So that's okay. That's a normal stage. But so that's why it's important that when kids are developing their English, they can come home and tell you everything they learned, everything they saw, everything they did in their home language, right? And so that will help them to feel smart, right? And then it also helps them to review for the next day, right? So I just wanted to share that idea with you. These are just some ideas. These are for young children or older children too. Sometimes the kids are learning, the alphabet, but what's nice is that we make charts, in about everything they're learning. So these are like geometric shapes. Just because they're learning the alphabet doesn't mean we can't start learning about geometry, right? It's math. So, we can make a little chart in our home language, and then they can do it in English too, right? So this is another example. This is in Arabic. They were studying animals. So on one side, they had the animals. Does anybody speak Arabic here that's with us today? So these children, they were studying animals. So they, on one side, they put, oh, wonderful. Yeah, they put, oh, be safe, be safe. Yeah, so you could, when you get home, you can see this, yeah. But they had, and they had the animals, the alphabet in Arabic, and all the animals that they were learning about. And then on the other side, it was in English, right? So you could say, you know, and some of our languages don't have alphabets, that's okay. But we can make a chart, you know, of all the things they know, the words they know in their home language, as well as in English, right? This is a handout. This, you could go here and it shows you, you can just click on it and it shows you all these languages, why our language is so important to our children. So they're in all these languages, right? I don't know if you have one of these languages, but I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So it just shows us the research, but in a beautiful way, right? Why it's important to hold on to our language, right? And it tells us just a beautiful way, but it's in what's the word? In all of these languages. So you can click on one of these and you can see in your language as well as in English, right? So this is for any of you who have children with special educational needs. These are some resources that come in many languages about raising your children with who are bilingual with special education needs. So you can look at those. This is for a little bit younger students, but your older children, if you have older children, they can read these with their younger children. So what's nice about this is free also. These are all free. You can, for example, these are all books about all different topics. So let's say, oh, that's about, let's see, what do I want to learn about? How do I feel today? Oh, let's pick that one. So how do I feel today? So the kids can listen.
How do I feel today? By Phoebe McGuffey.
Okay, so the book, you can listen to it in English, but also if you go up here to the narration, this book comes in all of these languages. So I'm going to pick Somali. Is that okay? So you can preview the book.
maanta waa isniin aniguna waan faraxsanahay waxaan u socdaa dabaal.
So you can hear the book first in your home language.
maanta waa arbaco waxaan ku faraxsanahay inaan tago beerta.
So they're all different languages. Here you can listen to it first in your language, right?
Maintenant, c'est mercredi et je suis contente d'aller dans le parc.
And then when you're done, you can listen to the book again.
I will zoom down the slide.
In English, right? So all the books have different, they have different, oh, hold on, I gotta go back here. So they have all different narrations. So they also have sign language, American Sign Language as well. But these are really beautiful books for young children about all content areas, all science and math and social studies, electricity, right? All of these things. So your children can listen to them at home in home language and then read through them in English. So it's very important, your language first and then English, right? So that they'll learn more English that way because they understand what the book is about in your language. And then when they listen in English, then they understand the English better, right? So those are English and many languages. But also if you click here, if you speak Spanish, you click on Spanish, and then these are all books that are written in Spanish that are also have audio.
Los primeros pasos por Michael McGuffey.
This is a library of books. Estos libros todos están en español y con el audio en español también, right? So it's a library of books in Spanish that are also audio in Spanish. So that's that one. And then I wanted to show you. So that's free. This one is called ScriptJab, and this is a place for your children to, on your tablet, your iPad, or your phone, or the computer. This is free. They can make books in multiple languages. Oops. Oh, okay. So they're working on the website right now, but it'll come back. So this is free, and what the children can do is they can pick 2 languages. There's a menu of like 50 or 60 languages. So they can write their book in 2 languages, English and Mandarin, English and French, or French and German, you know, if you have 2 different languages at home, and they can record themselves and they can draw. So it's a very beautiful, it's a free website. This is for young learners. You know, you can make little dual language books. Your older children can help your younger children, right? And you to make these books. They're made out of lunch bags. So they're just like little like this. But making them in 2 languages, right? This is a website that has stories that are from the African continent, and it comes in 215 different African languages. So you can just, if you're on the computer. Oh, the website for the 2 language books. Yes, I can tell you right now. So that is, if you get the website, if you get the handout, I don't know if you could put the handout in here, then you'll have all of them. So let me just copy that. I hope that's the handout. So yeah, that's this is the parent handout. Thank you. So the parent handout, if you get that link, maybe I don't know if you email it to participants, but it's in there now. It has all the links, but that is Unite for Literacy. But I just want to make sure you have it. Yeah. These are from the African continent. You can just click here and you can go to that site. It was all Unite for Literacy. Thank you, Susie. These are glossaries in multiple languages from New York University. And it goes all the way through high school, kindergarten through high school. So if your children, you know, English, like look at all of these languages, right? Albanian, Arabic, Bengali, Burmese, Chinese, Haitian, Creole, Hindi, all of these languages. About math, about high school math, you know, about science, high school, middle school science. The children can look up the words in their home language before they do it in English, right? So they understand, and then you know what they're talking about, right? So here are all the different languages. This is in French. It's a resource of curriculum content in French that for those of you who speak French, so you can support your children. This is a beautiful site, News ELA. News ELA. It has, it's free also, has articles in all, it's in English, but all levels of English, and also in Spanish too. This is another tool, going to Google Language Tools. So this tool that's here, you can put a website that's in English. Maybe the school gives you a site in English, and then you click on your language. So you can see the example here. I chose Thai. And then what happens is it translates the website into your language so that you can know what your children are studying before they see it in English. So you can help them know what's happening, right? So this one is about cells, right? And this is an example of doing it in French. I put it about mammals. I clicked on French, and then it translates the website to French, right? So that's really beautiful. This is a resource for books in Spanish about math, science, geography, history, all of that. And these are all free. These are all free. Yeah. This is a book, a site called Common Lit, has many, many articles in English and books in English that are free of, you know, all the grade levels, all the content areas. So you want to see that. And then they also have a Spanish library on that website. These are books for social and emotional learning, you know, to help children deal with their emotions. And it's a Canadian website. You can download the little books. They're in English, but they're also in Arabic. So Arabic and English. And so all of these are in English as well. You can just download them, they're free. So there's my email again. I know we're right at 1:45. I have one more resource I wanted to just show you. I'm gonna put the link, and I don't want to apologize that it's in Spanish because I just want to show this to you. It's you're free to use it. It's a site with books that are free. These are books that my husband wrote for our daughter when she was growing up. But I just want to show you that all of these books, so these are books every month, new ones will come, they're free. This is about memories, of childhood memories. So you can just click on it. I can't actually fit it right now. Let's see. No, I can't fit it right now, but you just click on it, you can read the books. That one's about, but I want to tell you that all of these books that you're free to have started as conversation. So you remember you talked earlier about talking? All of these books that he made that are free, you can have them, started with my husband and my daughter talking, just talking. And then because he's an artist, he made them. He made them into little books, and that's my husband. So I want you to know that your stories about growing up, your stories about your life, about your parents, about another country, your travels are very important to share with your children. That will make a lasting connection between them, and they're always going to want to hear it. Your children always will want to hear those stories. So I'm going to leave you with that, and thank you so much for your time. I hope you have some things that you can use. Please email me if you have any questions or you need anything else. But I want to thank you for your time. Take care and be in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Make sure you get the parent handout for today because it'll give you all the